Yeah, I haven't messed around with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that. Okay, and that's the thing we're going to talk about later. Perfect. Just making sure I see what I see. Um,
The,
how
the
you
next
doing
thing
today,
I want
John?
to
We're talking about something coming up next week. The
dinner.
fractional lunch we're going to talk about later, but since
Yeah, fractional C-suite, agency owners, founders. It's a great event curated by Ryan Wong at in Burlington. So first time outside of the GTA, or first time outside of Toronto. So it should be interesting.
and sounds like I'm going to be pestered into going, so I might as well go. And I'm considering I bug everyone else to come to my events. I should probably go and participate. So
Oh, for me, you get dinner out of it. So
all right, maybe I can do it as a business expense.
sure.
Uh, uh, and I want to meet Brian Wong, so that'll be great. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff going on. We are taking a break until, when I say break, from in-person events until August 13th, August 14th, the Futurist conference and the Futurist after party, which should
Excited
be
for
a really good time. I'm looking forward to that. You'll see our stuff posted on that in the next couple of days.
that. Cool.
I've got some updates to our website that had to happen and whatnot, but we're going to get those updated so people can get onto that. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the world of tech, and we might as well get into it. Is anything you want to talk about before we jump into our list of stuff?
Let's jump in.
All right. Well, this first one is kind of really weird. So we've been
Not
talking
surprising,
about
but weird. Yeah.
terms of service for things like Adobe and
Yeah.
what they're doing with you can't cancel, there's a bunch of things you can't do. They own everything you do. They can do whatever they want. They can sell it. They can, repurpose it, train their AI.
Yeah. Have they
The,
updated? Before we jump into this, but have they updated anything? I haven't looked.
Nothing to anyone's satisfaction.
Okay. Okay.
So the issue still exists,
Good.
and we're waiting for to see if they're going to have more of a response.
Okay.
So Disney Plus, the streaming service, has terms of service that says you can't sue Disney for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is kind of nuts because when we say you can't sue Disney for anything, which sounds okay, well, Disney Plus, why would you sue Disney? Well, we've got a specific case that's going on right now, where a woman died at the park because of allergies that they specifically asked about. They talked about, they were assured, et cetera, et cetera. The husband is suing the park, but because the lady who died in the park was a Disney Plus subscriber, they can't sue Disney.
That is so sketchy. That is like, so this just goes back to say, like, the stuff that is snuck into these terms of service are just absolutely nuts. I think there was one point where there was with WhatsApp and Facebook, there was something with their terms of service. Like, these companies are trying to sneak things in, and this is crazy that it sets a concerning precedent that other companies could adopt to block lawsuits. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like, it's clear Disney is trying to argue because the husband of the woman who died from food allergy last year had a Disney Plus trial subscription, not even a paid subscription, a trial. He can't sue Disney for damage because she died in the park due to their negligence.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This just highlights the need for oversight on binding arbitration clauses in terms of service. Like,
yeah, that talks about, it was about allergies due to stuff in her meal. And the back and forth, they requested the allergy. She had severe allergy, made a big deal out of it. The meal came, it didn't have like the allergy free thing on it. They asked again and they said it was great. So that's, the scenario. I don't want to get into specific details. I just want to say that, they can't even, Disney's arguing you can't even bring the lawsuit to court because you had a trial on Disney Plus. So, like, if there's a reason not to subscribe to Disney,
Yeah.
like, I can't imagine if you want to go to the park or do anything. They opened up their new Tatiana's Bayou, and it's been a nothing but a disaster. It's been shut down. They closed it the first day. They evacuated. It's been crazy. Can you imagine something happens on one of the rides and you get hurt? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
You signed up to a beta free version of Disney. You got a free version of Disney Plus with some other thing that you bought, so you can't sue us anymore. And Disney Plus has nothing to do with what's going on here, right? Like, it's a streaming service.
Yeah.
How can this possibly be legal? We're gonna have to see the FTC react to this like they have with Adobe, and Adobe's going to have to change because they're being sued 6 ways from Sunday for the U.S. government.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Bob Iger allowed this in. He seemed like he was one of those CEOs that was a decent CEO. But again, obviously, looking at the bottom line, covering companies' asses. This is just nuts, though. Like, this is scary because and we've said it, like, this allows Disney to avoid accountability for negligence and misconduct and more. Like, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and we got to stop. We can't let companies get away with this. This is kind of the thing, right? If we continue to let Adobe use your stuff wherever they want, resell your stuff, give it to whoever, and we let other companies do it, and you can't cancel. You sign up for a month and say, this isn't for me, and you cancel. Well, you got to pay for the rest of the year. Sorry, dude. No one told you that, even though it's almost impossible to find the way to cancel. And then this stuff comes around, and Disney's actively in court claiming this as a defense. It's not like a hypothetical situation where it's just one clause. They're in court with a death saying you can't sue us because you had a trial subscription to Disney Plus, even though, we're at fault for your wife's death.
Yeah. And there was, like, this just, again, distances corporations from accountability, right? There was something else that happened this week that just makes me think of, there was a Supreme Court case that overturned something that makes things even more lax for corporations. I can't remember what it was, though.
They overturned a bunch of things. The one I was interested in was the Chevron deference.
Yes, that one.
But this is, we get into politics, just like, it's one of those things that I'm happy they overturned the Chevron deference. Other people aren't, because what it does is it changes everything, right? For a lot of these things, people who are getting sued or had to follow certain rules. Well, what that means is, that the legislative branch and Congress still make the laws. We can't outsource that to some third party we give stuff to, so that you don't have.
I thought it removed some accountability for corporate.
Probably only because those third parties had implemented rules and laws that no longer apply, and someone else is going to have to pick up those rules.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll have to look into it more. I saw a headline. I probably saw a TikTok video on it and didn't do a deep dive into it.
The concept was things like, let's just say, I don't know for sure that the EPA is a third party agency. Let's just say it is. Yeah. They make rules and laws and fines, and go out and they police it. They make the laws and police and enforce it. And it has nothing to do with what Congress or the judicial branch want. Okay. They just go and do it. So if they are a third party thing, that stuff is now going to be challenged because they're not allowed to do that.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
So good and bad.
Yeah.
It's just changes things. There's a lot of things that were overturned. And again, a lot of people don't like it because look, all these rules have to change. Now with new Supreme Court justices or new modes of thinking or new political sway, we will get different rulings than we had in the past, and therefore the rules are going to change, whether that's good or bad.
Yeah.
And you
We'll have
talk
to
about
see.
Iger. I think Iger, back to this, was covered for a lot. He seemed to buy a lot of stuff, and Disney has not done a good job maintaining profitability. They've lost billions and billions in the streaming world. Almost all their acquisitions they've lost money on. So
Yeah.
it definitely doesn't seem to be the right creative lead for Disney, whatever that might mean, because it hasn't been doing well since at
Yeah, they
least not.
pulled back a lot of projects. They're rejigging the MCU, like they're doing a bunch of things, right? But I think it's happening with all of these streaming services too, because now you have every broadcaster has a streaming service, so they're pulling back their content and things like that. So what was a lucrative looking business model is looking less and less looking less and less lucrative. And if you don't have the content, then you're going to lose the people. But at the same time, it costs money to do that content, and it costs money to maintain that content and allow it to be on the streaming services. So it's like it's almost like a catch-22.
Streaming has killed the film industry, killed
Yeah,
it,
I agree.
for a number of reasons. One, people don't know how to do serial television. They come from a movie thing and they create a 8 or 10 episode movie, which doesn't have natural breaks, doesn't have natural flow. Every episode doesn't have a natural arc. So you start to lose interest unless you're binge watching these things.
Yes.
We also we are now at a generation of writers that are what I'm going to call the TikTok generation of writers, where it's funny dialogue, quirky scene, go, 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 go. We don't do character development. We don't do slow. We don't fall in love with the characters like we used to. It's just scene, 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 scene. And they don't necessarily flow together, but you're seeing the characters in a certain light and moving forward. So they don't really know how to develop a mystery, develop plot, develop characters, because they don't care to, because they want that 8-second attention span and then move on to something else. So when we do get good cinema, people turn up for it. Apparently, like Inside Out is doing really well.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Um,
The new Bad Boys movie is doing really well.
Yeah, that surprises me. I thought it would
Really?
tank. Yeah, I thought it would tank,
What? No. I think,
But
honestly, Bad Boys 1 and 2, I can't remember the third one, but they were phenomenal. They were really well done. They developed.
I enjoyed the first couple. The third one was but also with Will Smith, his bloom is well off the rose. Does anybody take him for a masculine guy anymore after all this? How long's it been since the last one? Are they still relevant? How old they are? Can we believe them as action stars? But they pulled it off. Hey, look, it turns out to be a hit. Everyone loves it.
Yeah.
But it's surprising. A lot of people like the Fall Guy, but it's not doing well. So it's a question of it. I think they're having a hard. Hollywood is struggling. If you just do some Googling, they're struggling. And if you want to take it from a nutshell, it's because streaming killed DVD sales, right? And DVD sales was a whole other chunk of money that they used to be able to rely on.
Yeah.
That you'd come out with a movie, 6 months later, you come out with DVD box sets and get another, almost the level of the box office, maybe.
Editions, all those other things. Yeah.
You don't get that anymore. So no one wants to take a risk on the movies that are $100 or $200 million, because you have to make so much money back on the box office, because you're getting less. You have to understand movies get less than 50 cents back on North American dollar on the box office, because the cinemas take so much, and distributors take so much. It all works out, but so they have to make usually around 3 times the amount of the budget to break even when you start doing marketing costs and stuff. So when you look at they're retooling the MCU, that's great. But Captain America 4, the budget now looks like it's going to be over $400 million, and there's no way that's going to make you money.
No.
And they've done so many reshoots, all the reviews of the people who've seen it, like people walked out of the viewing of it for the thing, the Disney employees, and there's like, it was so bad. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
So everyone's suffering, and with stuff like this, with these terms of service with Disney Plus and whatnot, that you can't sue them for anything, even if they kill you. That's a
enough.
problem.
Yeah.
And everyone needs to stand up and take notice of this stuff. And again, not they might do this like Adobe might do some things. They're actually using this as a defense in court with the death that they're liable for.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
And
that's the only reason why it's come to light, right?
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
And that's what I mean. Like, we're not crying wolf and all that stuff. It's happening now. And you need to be, so it's just nuts.
It's crazy. It's scary. Crazy. Yeah.
So let's jump on to this next one.
Yeah.
We talk about hydrogen all the time. Walmart Canada has a new fleet of hydrogen fuel cell electric semi trucks coming.
Love this. I didn't even realize that Nikola was developing hydrogen fuel cell semi trucks until I saw this article. I thought they were all on EVs. So this is really cool.
Agreed. I hadn't heard that either. So these Class 8 tractor has a 800-kilometer range.
Yeah, and avoids 97 tons of CO2 per year.
So, I love this because we're always talking about hydrogen and renewables. We've always been concerned about the infrastructure for hydrogen for the consumer. As Walmart, if they have big warehouses, they can have their own infrastructure to refuel their trucks and whatnot. But does this going to lead to more infrastructure overall for the consumer?
Let's hope so. Yeah. Well, so here's the thing, right? I don't know what typical transport trucks, what their range is with diesel. But 800 kilometers, that's double what you can get in a car, like a gas powered car. But I do think that because like Walmart, what they could do is start installing hydrogen fill-ups at their stores, because they've got great locations, right? And a lot of times they're right beside a gas station, or a gas station right beside them or close to them, right? So who knows? Maybe this enables them for that, because if they need the tanks for their transport trucks, why not make money as well selling it to consumers who come to shop there?
Yeah, we're rapidly building out Ontario's hydrogen economy with new production projects that are going to help forward-looking business across the province transition to hydrogen vehicles and reduce their emissions. So this is Stephen Leckie, the Ontario Ministry of Energy and Electrification. Yeah, so they seem to be moving towards the hydrogen economy. I think we should reach out to him at some point and say, hey, we'd love to talk to you about what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. See if he wants to talk. Yeah. He was previously, because Ford just shuffled, but he was previously the Minister of Education for the Ontario government. So he's new in that position. So it would be, we might want to get the word out there.
Yeah, the Walmart Canada operates a chain of more than 400 stores nationwide. So this would be interesting. I like the concept of like you mentioned, that they would have their own gas. Like there's Costco's have their own gas stations.
Yeah, that's why I thought of it, because of Costco. Yeah.
And Walmart, why not have their own hydrogen filling stations? So you just have to find your local Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart, if you're listening, if you haven't thought of that, there's the idea for you.
Yeah, have one Walmart in every city be a hydrogen Walmart, and as probably talk to Stephen Leckie, and see if they can subsidize you building that infrastructure for the consumers. Yeah, as we move to a hydrogen, hopefully, economy there.
I'm still trying to figure out, how do I get into this hydrogen but hydrogen revolution.
Sounds like you're about to say, how do I get into this hydrogen scam?
No, definitely not a scam.
All right, let's jump to this next one.
Yeah. This is cool. I never even thought that this, Like this is so you know how we have pipelines that transport natural gas, oil, all that sort of stuff. This is smart, makes sense. Why not build a conveyor belt or track system to move freight containers, right? Like, duh. You can probably, like, if we're building these highways, why not include a system like this? Then you eliminate transport trucks, you eliminate trains, the need less need for transport and trains. And this we're not just talking like a short distance. We're talking 310-mile conveyor belt / track system.
I like the concept. One possible use is mass conveyor belts to cover 500 kilometers, 310-mile distance between two cities running alongside the highway. A 500-kilometer tunnel, mind you, would be insanely expensive, somewhere about 23 billion before any conveyor belts are factored in. So I guess they want to make it underground or in a tunnel for environmental protection from rain and wind and dust and people and crap.
I think, yeah. Well, there's a couple options, right? So you know how we talked about those autonomous train things or those vehicles that went on train tracks?
Yeah, we maglev.
Maglev. Oh yeah, it was Maglev. Yeah, something like they could do that. They could.
That's what I'm
Like,
thinking.
yeah, but like, so we're building this new Highway 413. Apparently, what's going moving forward. Why not incorporate something on the side or very close to it? Build this at the same time, even on top of the road that has rails or something that is weatherproof or things like that. And I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah, I like the concept. I'm just not sure, I want to call it a conveyor belt because I think
Yeah.
using something like the iron lev technology, which you could deploy some train tracks or use existing train tracks
Yeah.
and deploy a low energy maglev solution on those tracks to cart anything back and forth.
Yeah.
Where the energy is just involved in pushing it, not lifting it. We talked about that in the past, and it requires no magnets on the track. So it's
Like
interesting.
I was just thinking, even between Toronto and Cambridge Kitchener, right? Because even Amazon, they have these warehouses, and having this kind of a system in between Walmart's warehouses, Amazon's warehouses, Canadian Tire's warehouses, right? Like it's almost a no brainer if you can figure out what an actual solution looks like.
You could see a hub and spoke system, but the hubs are city, not like they don't go to this conveyor belt wouldn't go to every
No,
major warehouse in the city. It would go to one spot, and then people would have to use their
then you just have a
hydrogen
last
trucks
mile.
to pick up.
Yeah, last mile kind of thing. But you're eliminating those. So you're eliminating trucks on the highway, which is awesome because I'm seeing way more transport trucks than normal. And that could potentially help with traffic as well. Obviously, climate, reducing emissions. But yeah, I think there's something here. I don't think obviously it's not a conveyor, but something. I think there's a good concept here.
Yeah, and they were talking about autonomous carts.
Yeah.
So that you can kind of see on this picture here, I guess it's in a tunnel. There's these robotic carts with a whole bunch of stuff in them going, I guess, both ways. You're on a conveyor belt like the airport, I guess, the airport conveyor belts that you stand on to move along. So it's not what I had in mind when I first thought of this. Because I'm thinking above the ground, we could do something with maglev.
Costco's, yeah.
Yeah, if it's underground, you can do a lot more from have it closer to the destinations. It's just a question of that's a lot more money to build each tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll have to see. We're talking about Tokyo's putting this in, but I think, right?
Japan, yeah.
Japan.
I think, yeah. Japan, yeah.
Yeah, it's a transport and tourism minister in Japan says, I'm not sure if it's of all of Japan or a province. They're looking to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions by doing this. And they're put a call to private companies to help fund the project. So we'll see.
Yeah. Really cool.
All right, this next one we're jumping into. So the Supreme Court, let's do this again. The Supreme Court protects the future of content moderation. The net choice decision means curating, compiling, and moderating a feed is a First Amendment protected activity. Have
This
you?
is scary.
Yeah, I haven't. I read about it. I've thought about it just a little bit because you gave this to me yesterday,
Yeah.
and I want to hear your thoughts first.
So what I'm worried about is misinformation getting amplified, misinformation getting more focus, and just overtaking the truth. That's what I'm worried about. Like I
I
get
see.
protecting First Amendment rights, right?
Yep.
But like what they're saying here is platforms will have the right to choose what speech to amplify or remove. It rejects government dictating balance of online speech. So like, yeah, social media firms have been pushing for this to have been battling regulation. So it's yeah, to me it's scary. Maybe I'm not fully understanding it, but that's how I took it.
Well, when I read this, I took it that the companies themselves have the right to decide
Yes,
what to take down and what not to. And maybe as an extension of that, the government doesn't have the right to tell them what to take down and what not to.
that's exactly what I took from it as well. Yeah. Which means that misinformation, if you have if these corporations are getting paid to push misinformation, they have the right to do whatever they want.
But at the same time, it's been proven that during the last election cycle, the Democrats deliberately threatened these social media companies to silence conservative voices. So, um, how much and how far it's come out to prove that they've done that, I guess we're fighting all of these things. So, and misinformation, whose responsibility is it? Is it not the platform's responsibility as a whole to,
Yeah, it is.
that's why Twitter's done those community notes and stuff so people can go
Yeah,
in and put some of these things. So does it not give the companies more leeway to put the controls they want in place?
it does. I'm worried that they won't,
That's fair. That's absolute.
because there's no repercussions then, right?
Yeah, I don't think
Essentially
the
from the government.
government did enough in the first place. But also at the same time, what we just went through this whole controversial cycle with elections and COVID, and what
Yeah,
was misinformation 2 years ago is not misinformation today. So the question is, where do you draw the line?
yeah,
I'm a free speech advocate because I think the more people talk, the more the crap will be pointed out. Yeah, this is
yeah.
not true because of this and this. The problem I think becomes now with AI and deep fakes and all that stuff, it becomes more and more harder to be able to go back and do the research and find out what's true and what isn't.
Yeah.
But other people have different opinions. They don't believe free speech all the way or to whatever degree. And they want to put limits about it. And that is
Don't get me wrong.
not
I'm all
necessarily
for
a bad thought. It's a
Yeah,
question of
I'm
where
all
you
for
stop.
free speech. I hate the people who are trying to manipulate others. That's what I hate.
Yeah, but it happens so much, and what
Yeah,
can you do about it? So you
yeah,
can like in the US, you can put the Smith-Mundt Act back in, which was repealed in 2012, which that stopped the US government from propagandizing the US population. And since
yeah,
they repealed that, they were allowed to do that. They said, "Oh well, our stuff that we're sending out other countries is going to get to the US anyway because of the internet." So they disabled it. So now they're allowed to lie whenever they want.
yeah.
Um, so maybe, putting some rules in place around that might help. But I agree. I people need to be called out. We have rules around slander, libel, and all these other things, and we need to enforce them so that when people are misaligning people, we need to make sure that that is corrected. But I
No,
like
I say let them do this, but implement a law that if they're found that they have what's the amplified misinformation without taking proper measures, like allow them to post whatever they want. But if you find that they are the cause or they are a problem that is amplifying misinformation, then fine them a shitload of money. Sorry, didn't mean to.
Yes. If it's clear that it's factual.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking about a
absolutely.
historical event, like this becomes my problem. Like I was just reading a bunch of stuff, I don't want to be negative one way or other, but medications that were being used during COVID that were, causing doctors to lose their license if they prescribe them have now been proven to be effective. But during that time, if you talked about them or whatever, you were pulled down. It was called this, it was called that, it was all this stuff. But now, we've got all the studies. Oh yeah, it's okay, and we have it on the CDC. So I'm with you. The problem is that stuff would be fined and pulled down when it's information that may have saved some people's lives, even though it was pulled down due to other reasons. So the problem is the same thing could have just been killing people too. So it could have been the other way around.
Like bleach in the veins.
Yeah, but I mean, who's crazy enough to think that that's a thing? And but so there's a argument to be had on either side of this, especially in this TikTok. Anybody can go on the YouTube for 10 minutes and say whatever the heck they want, and as a result, I say, what, I've got the new diet, how to lose 100 pounds in a month. I drink gasoline every day. Please don't do this. Don't do it. Don't do it. And blah, 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 blah. And people go out there and start doing that because, all of a sudden they see a picture of skinny Craig when they know Craig's not skinny. Because I got some AI avatar sitting in for me, and we got people dying left and right. So, where do you draw the line? What's actionable and what's not? And you have to kind of there's some obvious ones and there are some very gray ones which are a concern. And and it'd be nice if people were just honest about things, but unfortunately that's not who we are as humans.
No, unfortunately.
So my concern was when I looked at this article, well, what does this do? Everybody claimed Title II when you are Facebook or Twitter or any of the social media platforms. Title II means it's common carrier, meaning we just carry the information. We don't create it. So we're not responsible for the stuff on it. So now they've said, okay, you have editorial discretion. You have all this stuff. What does this mean to their potential immunity for what is put on and what is left on their platform?
Yeah.
Which might be where it actually is more effective to your argument, when you're talking about getting rid of misinformation and getting rid of the lies, if you make the platforms responsible, that they are actually responsible, they have to moderate and take care of this, or legally they're going to be in trouble. Then they'll put the stuff in place where before they had common carrier. Hey, it's not we don't moderate. We don't do this. So I'm curious to see where this goes. It might turn out to be better because they're now responsible for some of this stuff potentially and have to legally deal with it.
For sure. Yeah. Be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah. All right. So this next one is really weird.
Weird. Weird is not the name for it. I say creepy.
Scientists make living skin for smiling robots in a horrifying vision of the future.
Leave it to Asia. Researchers at the University of Tokyo have created a technique for covering robots in a skin that's made of actual human cells. So this study was published in Cells Reports Physical Science. So I don't know if it's been peer reviewed, but it might have been. The key goal is to give robots the ability to self-heal, in quotes, when the skin is damaged. So the skin works by using human fibroblasts and other cells along with collagen to form what's called a dermis equivalent. And the anchors for this is inspired by skin ligaments that attach it to the robot frame, which allows realistic stretching and movement like human skin. So cells can proliferate to regenerate any injuries, and there's no internal triggers needed, no external triggers needed. So it's like the types of cells that they're using is the dermis equivalent, which contains human fibroblasts as well as keratinocytes. And fibroblasts produce collagen and other compounds for the structural integrity, and keratinocytes generate the outer epidermal layer with distinct layers like real skin. So cool, but scary at the same time.
This is very scary. And I highlighted a comment here. It's not a comment, it's in the article. Is the robot uprising just around the corner?
Yeah.
The self-healing, I took a look at it. I went down the rabbit hole because this isn't the original article that you shared with me. This has more information.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. This is great. This is more information. But I went down the rabbit hole to the white paper, and the white paper had more to do with fingers and moving parts, right?
Yeah.
Less to do with faces, saying that it injured a finger and it wasn't able to flex as well, and after the self-healing part did its thing, it was able to flex without any trouble again. So it was interesting to read that, which was more obviously bending capability than, say, a smiling face.
Yeah.
So why?
What do you mean why?
Like why do we need living skin that heals itself so robots can smile? Like, I get the finger movement, maybe.
I think that's a horrible depiction. I think that there's other applications. So like for softer touch, in case they cut it on something when they're moving something or when they're dealing with sharp objects like steel or things like that. To interact with humans, robotic prosthetics, medical devices, different things like that. I could see that. But obviously, the scary thing and the creepy thing that they're showing is the face that could smile and express emotions. And it's very unsettling, I would say.
Indeed. It says we're not, the robot uprising is not around the corner, probably not, given the fact that anything approximating true self-awareness or mind of one's own is still work of science fiction. But ChatGPT passed the Turing test recently. But is that really still relevant, the Turing test?
I don't think so. Because all you have to do is train it on what the Turing test is, right?
I guess.
I don't think it would, so where I could see the Turing test being relevant is if you created an AI without the teachings and it learned itself and learned the Turing test and passed the Turing test. But again, I haven't done a deep dive into that.
I guess that I haven't really thought through it that way, but I guess as a human, I would ask him questions that, would throw it related to, what do you know about ancient Rome? And then what do you know about Taylor Swift? And then what do you know about, you jump around a lot and then try and hopefully get a feel. But I guess if you're having the normal conversation. So how close is the skin to functioning or feeling like human skin?
Yeah. So the artificial skin is quite rudimentary compared to actual human skin. So it only contains basic cell types like the fibroblasts and keratinocytes. Human skin obviously has many more specialized cells like Merkel cells, dendritic cells, different things like that. The layers and architecture of the skin don't appear to fully mimic a true dermis, epidermis, subcutaneous tissue, or anything like that. So it's more of a basic equivalent. So there's no indications it has abilities like sweating, hair follicles, oil gland sensation, goosebumps, or anything like that, like real skin does. But you never know. We can grow meat in a lab. Maybe we can grow skin that can be used. But the self-healing is also limited to basic proliferation to fill small defects. So there's no signs of really regenerating entire layers, complex scars, or things like that. There's also no blood vessels or immune cells. At least they didn't mention that. Which are critical for healing wounds in human skin. So, even though it's a significant step forward in artificial skin, it still lacks some of the most complex structure, cell diversity, and functionality of actual human dermal tissue. Again, I'm not an expert. Just this is from my reading and from research.
Yeah, this is interesting. I like what some people have said here, like Mark here said, I, for one, welcome our new skin-suited serial-killing overlords. If you think it all sounds kind of horrifying, you're not alone. As UK-based sci-fighter author Nate Crowley tweeted, me, a science fiction author known for writing about robots and skin, please, for the love of God, do not give the robots skin.
Yeah.
So what are the key?
Like I went to CES a few years ago, right? And out of Asia, I can't remember what country, so I don't want to say, but they had these robots that like, and you've seen them, you've seen videos of them, that can blink, that look at you, that have facial expressions, obviously not fake skin, but they are pretty, they're not super realistic, but like they're getting closer and closer.
This has come a long way from, I remember buying my eldest daughter when she was really young, Barbie that you could program. You'd plug it in and you'd program her name and some of her favorite stuff and the name of her pets and stuff, and it would respond to her and talk to her in her name. Like, and it was creepy. Like literally, like the head would turn towards your voice. Hello, Melissa. What?
Well, the creepiest one was the Teddy Ruxpin doll.
Why? What did it do that was creepy?
Just it was the first doll that had blinking eyes and would look around. It was just super, super creepy.
We had this toy for our girls. It was just like a big pillowy thing with a face on it that had like a motion sensor in it, that when the motion sensor would go off, it would say, I see you.
Oh my God.
I love you. Yeah, it's like, and when the battery started to go, it would just randomly do that. So you'd be walking, it'd be in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. in the morning. I see you. Like, what the heck is going on? Anyway, back to this. Like, how long or what are the key challenges to improving the durability and longevity? Like, does it really last? Like, if it's living, does it rot? Does it grow?
Yeah, well, there's a few things. So I don't think it rots. I could be wrong though. So there's a few things. You need to increase the tear resistance. So the skin needs to withstand flexing and stretching from robot movement without tearing. So they're going to have to advance their material engineering for that case. They got to improve abrasion resistance. So it needs to be able to resist scraping, rubbing, general wear and tear throughout daily robot use. Enhancing puncture resistance, developing. So the puncture resistance it needs a more robust epidermal layer that could prevent easy puncturing from sharp objects or debris. Developing self-healing for larger wounds. So right now it can only heal small defects. So they're going to have to come up with new vascular structures and stem cells to help regenerate significant damage. Thermal resistance. So the skin cells and material should withstand both high and sub-zero temperatures without breakdown. The biochemical stability. So the skin compounds will need to resist breakdowns from oils, solvents, other chemicals, and things like that. And extending before fatigue sets in. So the skin needs to maintain elasticity after repeated use and stress before weakening. So again, this is really, we're really at the proof of concept kind of stage, if that makes sense.
Well, now that I'm reading more and I'm covered up the grotesque picture of the face, is this the future of sex dolls?
Probably. It's a billion-dollar industry, so I wouldn't be surprised if they've got some money in this.
You know, if it feels like skin, I think that would be a whole different situation with some of
Oh
the
god,
weird stuff going on.
that makes things even creepier. Thanks
It,
for ruining that even worse, Craig.
well, I'm just
It's true though.
I'm trying to find a practical purpose for putting skin on something. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. Yeah.
You know, if you want to put skin on a artificial leg, okay, or an arm, so it
Yeah.
looks like a okay. I see those things, but if we do achieve AGI, artificial generative intelligence, like this says, scientists working on giving the robotics human skin to eventually allow self-healing as they slaughter humanity. And is this news? And if this new research is any guide, at least they'll be smiling when they do it.
Yeah. So this paired with another article that I read, and I'll post about it on LinkedIn. I think maybe they were talking about an artificial brain with artificial tissue or something like that was controlling a chip or something, which is the first of its kind. So you pair that with the skin, yet we're getting closer and closer every day.
Yeah, it's scary stuff.
Yeah.
You ready to jump to the next one?
Oh, it's up to you. Yeah, no, I'm just if you want to, we've got whatever you want.
Let's look. I like this.
The battery.
Yeah, the Pharesis, if that's how you say it, Pharesis Energy EV battery that has a 1 million mile range and handles temperatures from negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit to 149 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, this so here's the thing. This sounds like the holy grail of EV batteries to me, right? So I don't know if it passes the sniff test, but yeah, their claims is that it's a 1 million mile total range with 70% capacity retention after 5,000 plus cycles. The operability from minus 22 Fahrenheit to plus 149 Fahrenheit with normal performance, which is key because what I found out, not only do batteries, and this makes sense though, but not only do batteries degrade performance in cold temperatures, but they have the same degradation at higher temperatures as well, which makes sense. I just didn't put the two together. But apparently there's far lower capacity degradation compared to typical EV batteries. It utilizes a semi-solid state electrolyte. That's what helps to enhance the stability. And it's got high discharge and charge rates and thermal resistance. So it's like, yes, check off every box for what I want from an EV battery. There we go. So
yeah, and we're talking about, when we say a 1 million mile range, you're talking about total driving distance, not like on a charge. So with the 5,000 charge cycles, etc., etc.
Okay, I didn't catch that.
That's at least that's results in a.
Okay, so then it brings it closer to reality. Then okay.
At least that's what my understanding reading through this is like the battery has over 1 million mile range before it would need replacing.
Okay. Well, that's still great.
Yes.
And the reason why that makes more sense is because of the chemistry that they're using. So they're using a lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt oxide cathode chemistry. So, which is a very common chemistry used in many EVs today. So that's why I was wondering, how are they getting a 1 million mile range? But what you're saying makes a lot more sense and lines up.
Yeah, and like they've been a significant player in the battery market for 27 years. They've got the first power battery enterprise in China for the two-wheel market, making electric motorcycles. So I don't know them personally, but I'm really interested in, I always complain about EVs and getting stuck on the highway in negative whatever degree weather for hours at a time. And when we go to negative, 30 degrees Celsius, that's pretty good. Are you still there, John? Am I still here? Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Am I? Okay, I'm still here. John's gone. All right, so I'm going to talk about this. So in a 45-degree environment, a single battery can undergo 1,500 cycles for greater than 70% strength of battery. So this looks amazing. Being able to do that. 1 million miles seems to be, let me add you back here. 1 million miles seems to be way more than what we're getting out of today's EVs.
Yeah, it seems like we're getting what, 200,000 miles, 300,000
Yeah,
miles,
somewhere between 200 and 300,000, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that depends, right? And their effectiveness drops very good. So, what do you think? These new types of batteries, are we going to see them everywhere? Is this going to be? We talk about a lot of different battery technologies.
Yeah, I haven't done a deep dive into this battery chemical makeup, but from what I've read, it's common chemistry that's used in many of the EVs today. So, if they're using silicon-rich anodes, that's another potential contributor to enhance the lifetime that they're hinting at. So, because silicon can greatly increase energy density, right? So, this one, the semi-solid electrolyte is likely a polymer or gel-based one, which enhances thermal stability. But the exact composition is proprietary, so we don't really know. But and one thing to note is this has not been extensive third-party testing. So these are claims from this company, which is fine. Like, great, I love it. I love that. Go ahead.
No, I'm happy with whatever you're saying there. I wanted you to continue. I'm just curious as to I would assume it's a solid electrolyte, not a gel or liquid electrolyte based on the fact of the temperature range.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last week, those new TDK lithium batteries that that don't use liquid electrolytes. They use some sort of solid electrolyte, and it's given 100 times a power density.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know how yeah.
Will these batteries be any safer? Are you aware of than what we're getting now in EVs, where you hear about the garage fires and stuff?
It seems like they will be, but there's no direct claims about the enhanced safety, thermal runaway resistance, or reduced fire risk compared to other EV batteries. But using a semi-solid electrolyte could improve stability at temperature extremes somewhat. But existing EV batteries use safety mechanisms to prevent thermal runaway already. So switching cathode chemistry doesn't necessarily change catastrophic failure risks. So we'll have to see. Independent safety testing and results have not been released or referenced validate any gains. So who knows? You would think that if they were safer, if they did have potential claims, because they were making all these claims without third-party verification, right? So you would think that if they did have some inkling to it being safer, that they would allude to that in the article. Who knows?
The complaint about lithium ion is cobalt and a lot of the rare materials. Do these use similar rare or expensive materials?
Yeah, they do. They use what is it? They use lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt oxide. So yeah, still lithium. So nothing revolutionary as far as more environmentally friendly. It could be even worse.
So the second-hand EV market is non-existent because no one wants to go and buy a 5-year-old EV because the batteries are more than 70% of the cost. Is this going to change that?
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. So that's one of the biggest things, right? If this can last 1 million miles, that's as long as a Toyota engine can last. No, but just because I've seen a lot of claims of Toyota engines lasting 1 million miles, but this could definitely be a game changer for the secondary EV market if this is a viable option. So the other thing about this being a viable option is that they're using a current battery chemistry makeup. I think they're just trying different things with the anode, cathode, and electro. The electrolyte. So we'll have to see.
And the obvious question I always ask, when are we going to start seeing these batteries available in EVs or anything?
Yeah. I don't know, because so obviously they're going to have to optimize battery materials. They're going to have to come up with production. So I'm thinking widespread availability in new cars, 6 years. Let's make a guess. If it's heavily adopted and they get a huge funding, I'm sure we could do it quicker.
2030, let's go.
Yeah.
All right, this has been great. What do you got going on, John?
Well, we've got the fractional C-suite dinner put on by Ryan Wong this coming Tuesday, July 9th, day after my birthday. So I'm excited for this. This one's in Burlington. This is a great event. He curates the specific people. You get food out of it. It's a really great event. If you're outside of Toronto, you have a car, you want to travel a little bit, this is great. You don't have to go into Toronto and have to battle the gardener. So this is a great option. And then further down the road, something that you and I were talking about this morning is one of my favorite conferences of all time is Futurist Blockchain.
I don't have the stuff up here, but I'll have it up for next time. So that we can, the Futurist Blockchain Conference, I think there's a sale going on right now that's about to end. So go definitely get your tickets. You can use our promo code. I don't remember what it is, but you can check on our website or whatnot. But right now is a great time to get tickets because I think it's the lowest they're going to be. Yeah. It's always a good time. There's thousands of people there. I think it's your favorite event of the year.
It is. I love it. I love that it's put on by females because Tracy Leporullo and her sister Laura, they are phenomenal people. She's got a great team, well connected with the crypto chicks, with ETH Toronto, with ETH Women. Absolutely love empowering women and that everything that they do for women. I love supporting this. So it's a great, great conference.
And understand you help companies get government funding.
Yeah. So help them with government funding, help them. Usually I can be the bad guy, letting them know they're too early, that there's nothing out there, but working with them, helping them to get set up for best chance of success. I'm also dabbling in automation AI workflows. So that's something you and I might put together a webinar on in the future, but seems to be, and this is great for startups. It's great for large companies. So lots of things out there happening.
So definitely reach out to John Irwin on LinkedIn. Check out TorontoStarts.com for the rest of everything we do. And that's about it. Happy 4th of July, John.
Oh, yeah. Happy Independence Day in the U.S. Yeah. Thanks, Craig.
And you got an extra minute back. So have a good one, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.